This is the Dairy Brothers Tribecast, a podcast for diehard Cleveland Indians fans. Presented to you by waitingfornextyear.com. Now, here are the hosts, Matt and Todd Dairy.
All right, here we go, everybody. One more week of Cleveland Indians baseball for the regular season. Matt and Todd with you. It is the Dairy Brothers Tribecast, brought to you by our friends at waitingfornextyear.com. That's where you find us along all podcast streams and locations. Our sponsors, Dr. Ben Hornstein, the Center for Advanced Dentistry, of course, and Breaking Tea T-shirts at breakingtea.com/dairy. Todd, a good end of the week after a lousy couple of games at Wrigley. Boy, the Indians' offense was so bad. The losing streak got to 8. But then the good news, going to Comerica Park and facing the unnamed team, taking 3 out of 4 from the Tigers. Now, with 1 week to go, magic number down to 3 to at least clinch a playoff spot. I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about this baseball team, but at least they took 3 out of 4 from Detroit.
You know, it's the truncated season, obviously. So yes, it is a hard call to see how you feel about it, because you know if you're 50 games in, which is essentially what they are now, they're 29 and 24 is the record right now. So you know, more than 50, but. If you look at that now and you view it in the terms of, well, they were 29 and 24 in May, how would you feel compared to they're 29 and 24 heading into October, basically, with a week left? Then how would you feel? It's just like it's a completely different ballgame. So I don't know how I feel either. You know, they're still trying to figure out the outfield. The bullpen is which has been dominant all year, seems to be regressing at the wrong time. But the rotation is still fantastic. And if things are lined up as they are, and you want to, and you're in a 3-game series, and you can throw Bieber, Plesac, and the way Carlos Carrasco's been pitching, I still would take my chances. I would. So, like you said, I agree with you. I'm very conflicted to see, you know, about how I feel right now.
You know, we'll get into the week that was. We'll preview the games this week. We'll talk a little bit about the pitching. We got to get into Sandy Alomar and some of the decision making.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yes, they do. We got to get into that. We'll talk some Gary D. We got to talk about Friday night. My venture down to the corner of Montcalm and Witherell for the Indians and Tiger game, which I technically was watching it high atop a roof, so I technically was there, but then I wasn't because it was so freaking freezing that we moved inside. I got a great story. I haven't even told you the story. I waited for the show to tell you about it.
Save it for the pod. I wanted it. I was going to ask all these questions on the pod.
So we do have a lot to get into, and also, I mean, with where the Indians are right now, you don't know. You know, they're currently in the 7th spot. So, like I said, the magic number to clinch a playoff spot is 3. So any wins by the Indians and any losses or whatever by Seattle, I mean, the Angels. Toronto is 2 back in the loss column from the Indians. So it would be like, with the way this seeding goes, with 7 and 8, the Indians right now would play the White Sox in the first round. But the White Sox are only a half game back of the Rays for the best record. So we could go into all that. But, I mean, those games earlier in the week against the Cubs and the losing streak getting to 8, and just the lack of timely hitting, even Saturday night when they lost 5-2 and Maton Uncle Phil blew up, it just again became an offensive problem. But boy, Jose Ramirez he's solving that problem. Just he's a one-man show right now.
You know, I tweeted this over the weekend. He should change his last name to Illich because he owns the Tigers.
True.
Like, truly. He had 3 homers in the last 2 games of the series. I would venture to say I don't ever remember one Indians player. I've seen plenty of players do it against the Indians over many years. Like, if we were talking about the all-killer Indian teams like Paul Konerko when we were, just destroyed the Indians. Mike Sweeney.
Joe Creedy, Lou Whitaker, George Bell. You know, the list goes on and on. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they just own the Indians over their careers. Jose Abreu was doing it right now too. The guy always seems to destroy
Who was that backup catcher that used to kill us? Jeff Mathis always killed us. Remember?
For the Angels, Jeff Mathis.
Yeah, and the Rangers.
Is that you're talking about?
Yeah. Always got hits against us.
We used to always get Troy Percival.
I'll tell you, James McCann kills us now.
Yes, he does. That's a good call. Well, anyways, I don't ever remember an Indian dominating another team the way that Jose has dominated the Tigers over the last few years.
Tommy used to. Tommy has the most home runs, I think, at Comerica Park for an opposing player, if I recall.
I think Miggy Cabrera is on that list too for the Indians. Like, when he was in his prime, he just destroyed us. Remember the game against Danny Salazar? I think we lost 1-0, and it was like this huge battle. It was 0-0.
Yeah,
I think he got him for a homer on it was like his 100th pitch or something. It was like 10 strikeouts, and the crowd was up on its feet. I was there. It was terrible. I hate Miggy. Anyways,
now Miggy destroys buffets. That's about it.
Well said. No, but Jose Ramirez has just been incredible, and he has been carrying the team. And Frankie's been hitting better. Frankie had the clutch homer to tie the game in Chicago when we've been waiting. It was, I think we posted the pod. We did the pod on Monday. They didn't play Monday night, and then Tuesday night, Frankie had his best game of the year after we spent 15 minutes destroying him for his lack of timely hitting and hitting with runners in scoring position. But I think that was a big turning point for him. It just comes down to, again, other people have to step up. They do. And, yesterday was nice to see, Delino DeShields, as much as I can't stand him, had a huge 2-out RBI hit. It was Luplo and Delino back-to-back. Luplo facing a lefty. And if they're going to win anything in October, it can't just be, Shane Bieber went 7 scoreless, and we got 1 run thanks to a sack fly by Frankie. And
right.
It's not going to work. So, they got to get something from these other guys. It just got to happen. And the problem is, we still don't know who's going to play the outfield and on what day. I mean, even Mercado. Yesterday was Mercado, Luplo. It was against a lefty, but it was Mercado, Luplo, and
DeShields. Yes.
Yeah, and
he's
Josh Naylor to
right.
do something.
And Delino is just a disaster in the outfield. Even on routine fly balls, he catches balls he's going to drop a routine play one of these days because he's just so lackadaisical with it. Did you notice there was one fly ball over the weekend against the Tigers where it was he backhanded it, and it was wait, what?
Exactly which one you're talking about?
What do you even the final out on Friday? Maybe
he slipped right?
It's just
he got up and he caught it or something.
It was over his head almost, and he jumped. And it was sort of routine, but. Dude, for somebody that's that much speed and supposedly is a good outfielder, his arm is terrible. He's not
terrible. I didn't think it was that bad, but it's really bad.
It's just he's not good.
Which by the way, if his arm is that bad, then he should be in left and Oscar should be in center when they're playing together. Although it's not like Oscar's the greatest either, but DeShields made. Didn't make a play. It was the game they lost.
Right,
it was
Saturday night.
The one just the fly ball that just fell in front of him. And then there was the one that he went back to the wall, and it was he thought he was closer to the wall than he was.
Right, it was in front. If he took two more steps,
close.
He would have caught it. Right.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah, Siciliano texted me. It was what was that? I'm I know.
Yeah.
I know. That was actually Friday night. I was. Because I was there. Yeah, but still, sitting here and talking about that's a veteran player that should know, you go out to the outfield, I would assume, 2-3 hours before the game to know your steps, know your surroundings, and figure it out.
Absolutely. And, speaking of which, yesterday, I saw at 9 o'clock in the morning, Tom Brady was walking through the stadium in Tampa Bay. I saw this on Twitter to learn the sight lines with no fans in the stands. So if Tom Brady's doing that 4 hours beforehand, DeShields can figure it out too, right?
Tommy Brady? You mean Tommy Brady?
That's why
He's known as Tommy in Ann Arbor, by the way. Like if you talk to the Ann Arbor people and you say Tom Brady, oh Tommy. Sorry, I
don't think executive producer Jeremy refers.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
But he does always say the one thing is that like he can't stand when Michigan people try to claim Brady after the fact. Because when he was there...
Correct. When he was there, nobody wanted him. They all wanted Drew Henson. It was Drew Henson this, Drew Henson that, for years. And Tom Brady was a really good quarterback in college. Compare his numbers to what Michigan has had the last few years at quarterback. It's not even close.
And you and I were there for the the Drew Henson debut, Syracuse versus... Michigan, it was the fall of 98.
Well, that was the McNabb show.
McNabb versus Tom Brady.
McNabb was unreal that day. Yes.
It was like 35-7 before they made it interesting.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a ball game.
We were there. So.
Yes, but anyways.
Yes, but the outfield. Let's get back. The outfield blows, yes.
The outfield.
And it's crazy because you watch Friday or Thursday night, you see us put up 10 runs. You watch yesterday and see us go up 7-0. And you say, all right, there's potential with this offense, especially if the 3 and 4 guys or the 4 and 5 guys, Santana and Reyes, will just wake up and
Carlos has just been.
Well, Franmil hasn't been much better. I mean,
but at least Franmil had a stretch where he carried the offense.
Correct.
I mean, Santana's been dog shit the entire. We've given Carlos a major pass. He's been dog shit the whole year. I mean, yeah, he walks a lot, and I know. Listen. I know batting average is not the end-all, be-all stat anymore, and no one cares about batting average. He's still hitting under 200. I mean, that's terrible.
Well, Saturday night I was watching, and Manning says it's the leg kick, and his timing's off, and he's just topping balls to the first baseman, and then 3 pitches later, leg kick, tops the ball on 3 hops to Candelario. And it was like, nice call, Rick. But like if the color commentator sitting back in Cleveland watching on a monitor can see it, then do we have a hitting coach? Like, what are we doing?
Well, we don't have Ty Van Berglio anymore. We know that. Just can't blame Ty on
TVB.
Vanbo? Nobody loves talking about Vanbo more than executive producer Jeremy, who sat next to his wife during the 26 World Series. Loves that story. Anyways, but here's what I think. I think that this week you have 7 games remaining.
Correct.
And Sandy has 7 games to figure out exactly what he's going to do. And it can't be this. I don't want to get to October and he still doesn't know what he's going to do. Come up with a plan. Antonetti, Chernoff, and Sandy, come up with a plan, and Tito, of what you're going to do exactly, and just go with it. And if it's okay, we're facing a righty, we're going with. I don't want them to go with the Shields, but it's fine. Then just go with it. Like, I don't need this. We're going to go with Oscar, and Oscar takes an over 4. So Oscar's out. The Shields, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't serve any purpose to me at this point. And if I were them, I would also take a hard look at exactly what you're going to do with the bullpen, because as of right now, the last week, during the losing streak and even during this weekend, there's a little shaky from everybody for the most part. Wickren looked really good. And I want to talk about that. Wickren looked really good on Saturday night, throwing the 10 pitches, but really, just let's get a real plan in place and go with it.
I think there are times that Sandy is adapting the Tito plan of there is no plan, and he likes to mix and match. He likes to go with feel. Tito does at times, especially with sometimes with lineups. The team puts up a 10 spot on Thursday night, and then you get Friday at about 4 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon, and the lineup comes out on Twitter, and you're like, wait a minute. We just scored 10 runs the night before against a righty in Casey Mize. We're facing another righty in Fulmer on Friday. The lineup should just be the same. It scored 10, and instead, Mercado and what do you call it, and Naylor were in the lineup, and then on Thursday, but then on Friday, DeShields and maybe maybe Luplo was in the lineup, even though it was a righty.
But faced a righty this weekend for the first time.
Right on Friday, it's like, well, why are you? And look, Josh Naylor is not Babe Ruth, but Geez, I mean, if there's a righty out there, I want him out there. Now, again, I also know that his defense is very, very shaky. The throws he made at Wrigley earlier in the week from left field were atrocious. So I don't know. And Sandy's had a rough week. You know, he really did. I mean, you mentioned it, so we could talk about it. I mean,
let's
Saturday night's loss. And look, again, the Indians are okay. They're going to be all right. I think the pitching's, riding the starters right now and going into the playoffs in a short series with what we have. I'll take it. I will. And I would guess that with the way things would line up, that it would be Bieber, Plesac, and Carrasco. We can get into that. But Saturday night, they should have swept this team. Number one, they left 10 guys on base, which they always do. But to have Whitgren pitch the seventh and blow them away on 10 pitches, and then all of a sudden Maton in the eighth, like, what's going on here?
I don't. It's almost like sometimes these guys get to these guys have got to throw one inning each. The thing is, if you want to keep these guys fresh for October, okay, maybe I get it, but why couldn't Maton have a day off? Like, why does he have to pitch the eighth? What? Karinchak had pitched the last 2 days, so I understand not going to him. But Whitgren threw 10 pitches. What, he can't throw 10 more?
He was great.
He pitched the seventh, and it took him 20 pitches. It's the same thing.
He dominated. Right? And I know that Nick had a real rough Wednesday in the walk-off, hit by a pitcher. Was that Tuesday?
It was Tuesday.
Tuesday. And you wanted to get him back out there, and they did. But he was tremendous Saturday. And you're right. Let him pitch the eighth. Who cares? That was bizarre.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, it would have been one thing if he threw 20 pitches in the seventh. I get it. You're not going to send him back out there. But it was 10 pitches, and he made quick work of them. Just let him ride it out for another innings. Who cares? And there's nothing I hate more than this. Oh, well, so-and-so was warming up, and he was hot, so we had to bring him in. Like, who cares? Why does he have to come in if he's hot? He doesn't have to. That makes no sense.
No,
it happened. What about this? In the game against the Cubs on Tuesday, they warmed up Brad Hand. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday? They warmed up Brad Hand it had to have been Wednesday. Because it went to extras.
I don't remember. Wednesday's game went to extras.
They warmed up Hand 3 different times. He didn't get used.
Yeah, because they lost 3-2. And by the way, that night, Maton throws a shitty 0-2 pitch after blowing 2 fastballs by Baez. I didn't think the pitch was that bad, actually. But it was, the Uncle Phil curveball low and away, and Baez had a nice piece of hitting. But then,
swings at everything, and he chased one, and he got it.
Right, and I watched the post game afterwards because I'm sick like that, and Sandy's like, "Yeah, I didn't love that pitch. Should have gone with the heat." Oh, really? You're the same guy that was behind the plate in '97, dickhead. Like, they could have easily stood up and walked out to the mound and said, "Stop shaking me off." So don't go with that. Sorry, Sandy, but we don't forget, bro. We don't forget. Yeah. Oh, he should have thrown the heat. Well, then maybe you should have gone out to the mound, watching him shake him off.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It was one of these games. God, I watch every pitch of all these games.
Sure,
so they all go together. But correct me if I'm wrong. It was one of those games, and it may have been that game. Either Manning or Underwood said that Sandy's calling that pitch from the dugout.
It wasn't Wednesday's game. I don't think.
Okay. I remember hearing it, and maybe I misheard, and he was talking about something else, but yeah, I don't know. And then, so in a roundabout way, talking about Sandy's managing, then you also go to the yesterday, and I know it ended up working, but they sent DeShields up to bunt. Not DeShields. It was Oscar. Oscar goes up there to bunt with 2 on and nobody out.
Yes.
To get to Sandy Leon and Delino DeShields.
Right.
How does that make any sense?
Right. Here's your chance to get Oscar. Right.
I know Mercado's not swinging the bat well. Okay, but
give him a chance.
You have a man on second and nobody out, and have 3 chances to hit a single.
Right. Give him.
The next 2 guys up are terrible.
I know.
And
now DeShields bailed him out. DeShields bailed him out.
Yes, he did. I was going to say, but Leon couldn't hit a fly ball. I mean, he hit a short fly ball with Gin score, and luckily DeShields delivered. But that comes back to my point and why I hate bunting. I think it was the 5th inning.
It was the 5th inning because we were blank. Right. Our first four innings we were perfected.
Didn't have a hit.
Yeah, 12 up, 12 down for Matt Toyd. Give me a break.
Jeff Toyd?
But you're right. Here's Mercado. I mean, in a 0-0 game or whatever it was, 1-0 game, and because the Shields had made it 3-0. But still, I mean, it's like let him swing the bat. He did hit a home run earlier in the week at Wrigley. Like this kid's going to be a part of the future. He's having a really rough time, but it's such a small sample size that I still want to see him playing. I do. I mean, Delino DeShields isn't going to be on the team next year. Oscar Mercado is. He is. He's young, he's cheap, he's controllable, and he showed you last year that he belongs. But he's having a really rough time. I get it, but my God, bunting there, jeez.
Yeah. And this is a point we brought up last week about the Shields and Freeman, is that these guys are not part of the future. And this was a year to give these younger, a couple of these guys. Like we brought this up last week when J-Ram was hurt and you had the opportunity to play Nolan Jones for 3 days, or even Chang for 3 days. I mean, if Chang is going to be a part of the future, let him have 3 days in a row playing third base. I don't understand the infatuation with playing journeyman 30-something-year-old players
and batting them second, and batting them second.
Well, and batting him second. But I don't understand at the expense of potentially developing younger, better options that are there for you.
The worst mistake Sandy Alomar made was something we didn't even bring up. We'll do it next. How about that for a tease? That
was like green.
That's a Karshian tease right there. But first, we got to. Todd's going to tell you about Dr. Ben Hornstein. Your tweet this week got a lot of traffic.
He's getting top billing this week, jumping breaking tea to top of the line.
Top men?
Yes, top men. What were Phil Levine and
Art Greenberg? That's
Art
right.
Greenberg, yeah. So we needed some karma. The karma had to happen. So the photo of myself with America's greatest dentist, Dr. Ben Hornstein from the Center of Advanced Dentistry, was tweeted out, and things were looking very good. And then the Cubs came back and won again. But anyways, I happened to be driving this week, and I saw Dr. Ben and his lovely wife Jennifer walking down the street, and I had picked up Brooke from dance, and I rolled down the window. I said, "There he is, America's greatest dentist." Brooke, of course, he was like, "Thanks for the shout out," and of course, Brooke was like, "Dad, you're so embarrassing! Oh my God!"
Yeah, of course,
it was very funny.
I love it. I love it.
I'm fresh off of my appointment 2 weeks ago, where I went in and I texted or called and said I'm here, and they called me. They texted me right back and said, "Hey, come on in." Went right into my pod, nice and safe. Didn't see anybody else, no one in the waiting room. Had my partitions up, had the air filtration system going. Sandy took great care of me when I was getting my teeth cleaned. And Dr. Ben came in and did a great job and checked me out for, any kind of problems that I might have. And we talked some Tribe. And, if you want to go in, talk some Tribe, talk some Browns, talk his beloved Cincinnati Bearcat basketball team, go in, check them out.
You see.
Center for Advanced, yeah.
Do. You see. Come on. That's a great cheer.
It really is. It is great. And I like how they put up the U and the C with the arms, the cheerleaders. But anyways, go check him out. You know what else Dr. Ben's great at, by the way?
What's that?
World-class photographer. And if you go into the waiting room, you'll
Now we're getting way in deep.
He is. He's got sports photos all over the wall that he's taken himself. So check him out. If you're on the east side, I've said this before. If you're on the east side, it's a no-brainer. Even if you live on the west side, take the 20-minute, 25-minute drive. Head on over to Orange Place, right off Chagrin Boulevard. Center for Advanced Dentistry, CFAD.net, or at CFAD Beechwood on Twitter.
Matt and Todd with you. It is the Dairy Brothers Tribecast. Final week of the season. 4 against the White Sox, 3 against the Pirates. Magic number to clinch at least a playoff spot for the Indians. Either the 7 or the 8 is down to 3. They'll play tonight against the White Sox as we record on this Monday. We'll get you all the pitching matchups and everything else. I teased it before. I mean, Friday night, Thursday night, I did a high school football game locally here on TV. Orchard Lake St. Mary's here in Michigan against Walled Lake Western. I get home, or I'm in the car driving home, and I've been following the game on my phone, and I'm watching it at halftime, the whole thing. And I'm in the car, and Dan Dickerson and Jim Price on the Tigers radio are talking about pitch count, and they're like, hey, can you believe Shane Bieber's still in this game? It's the 8th inning, and he's thrown 114 pitches, and it's like, wait a minute, what's the score? Are we up 10-0? 10-0, and he's still in the game. And even
the two TVs working.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was going 2 TV setup because the Clowns game was going on, and it was the same thing. Like, I looked up and it was 10-0, and I looked at his pitch count, and I was like, I tweeted it out. I was like, I don't know what Sandy's trying to prove here.
Right. It's 10-0.
There's no point to have him out there. Should take him out after 7. He gave up no runs. I know we're not talking, stats shouldn't matter, but 0 point in adding to his ERA when he, for the Cy Young Award. But I was, and then he got into some trouble in the middle of the inning, put 2 on, and then out comes Sandy, and I'm like, all right,
good, right, take him out of there. It's 10-0.
Sandy comes walking off, and Bieber's still out there. I was beside myself, and then the next guy hit a 3-run homer.
Right, who cares? They weren't going to come back and win, but the bottom line is get him out of there. He's your most prized possession. He is once Frankie leaves,
the franchise.
He is the franchise. I mean, and my goodness, what a terrible mistake. Oh, I gave him the option. He said he was going to get him out. Yes. Oh, good, great.
That was what I was going to say. I saw the post game quotes from Sandy, and Sandy said they asked him. Well, I give the media credit because they went right for it, and he said, "Well, I went out there and I gave him the choice." What pitcher has ever said, "You know what? I think I want to come out"? Of course, he's not going to say that. You're the fucking manager. You're the one who makes that decision,
right? I mean, not him. Sorry.
The silver lining in this entire experience is that we know that Sandy is not the manager of the future. He can't be. And God bless him. I love him and will love him forever as a ambassador of Indians baseball and a coach and a player. And you know what? He's an Indian for life, and God bless him. He is not manager material. He has proven to me many times, especially in this last 2.5, 3 weeks, that he is not the answer. When Tito decides to retire, I think they'll head in another direction too. I mean, if we all see it, I'm sure that Antonetti and Chernoff see it too.
I would hope so. And again, there's the Freeman bunting. There's the game on Wednesday, on Tuesday at Wrigley where he didn't use the bench. Then on Wednesday he emptied the bench. Like, there's so many different inconsistencies with how he's managing the team. And in his defense, he's having to put a lineup together that is extremely flawed. I mean, the choices that he has for the outfield, no manager, no Connie Mack, no Rocco Baldelli, Lou Piniella, any of the good ones, past or present, could win with that outfield. So it's not an easy decision to go, well, which 197 hitting outfielder am I going to use tonight? But with this situation, your most prized possession, the guy that might be able to carry you during the postseason, the guy you need fresh, the guy you need healthy, to keep him in a game on a Thursday night. And I know they needed to win that game, but it was 10-0.
10-0
against that team. Get him out of there. That was horrible. That's horrible. It's malfeasance.
It was managerial malfeasance. That's exactly what I said. There was one other thing that he said that I guess makes a little bit of sense, but it still doesn't make any sense to me. He said, well, for October, I wanted to see if we could press him up above 110 and see where he was.
No.
That's such crap.
It is crap. It is total crap.
It's not like you've never seen Shane Bieber pitch before. I mean, come on.
No.
Yeah, that was really lame.
What about
Cam Hill when it's 10-0?
What about Cocktober? Let's get into that. But no, seriously, it's like it just that made absolutely no sense. It was a 10-run game. So, that was Thursday. So Friday night, as we announced on the podcast a couple weeks ago, I made my way down to Comerica Park with my wife and two other couples that one of them invited us, friends of ours, the great Lauren and Jeff, invited us to the DAC, the Detroit Athletic Club, where they have upstairs on the roof, or the 7th floor, but it's a tall building. They have a rooftop area for food and dining and everything else, and you can see into the stadium from center field. It's pretty sweet. I sent you the picture. We obviously tweeted it out on the Dairy Brothers Tribe Twitter feed, and people got to see that I was high atop. But we got up there at 7 o'clock, and I sent you the picture before the game, and then once the Tigers took the field, the unnamed team. Todd, it was so cold. Oh, my gosh. Like, I brought my winter coat, and they're like, "Are you cold?" And I was, like, shivering. And it's like, well, this is great. Like, we can see into the stadium. Like, this is pretty sweet. I think we lasted in that view about a half an inning. It was just freezing.
Did you follow it at all?
Well, here's the thing. Like, it was tough to follow. I mean, you're far away. Like, you can see into the field.
Scoreboard. You can't see the scoreboard, so you can't.
Well, you could see the side ones. You could see the side ones, but it was like you really have to squint to see balls and strikes. But, like, if a ball is hit, like the first Lindor let off, I don't remember what he did, but, like, yeah, if a ball's hit in the air, you're assuming it's a home run from that angle because you don't know. But it was cold. So, you know, we've only eaten out in restaurants outside. We haven't eaten inside at a restaurant. I mean,
outside.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, we had our masks, the whole thing, but we were out. We had the masks. We had our masks off, and we were sitting outside. But there were, you know, it was. So finally, Jeff, and God bless him, was like, "Hey, look, let me go tell him, like, see if we can move inside." And I was like, okay. They had an overflow room because the restaurant was pretty full with a giant screen TV, and we had a table, and there was only one other couple in the room with us, and they were far apart. They were like 10, 12, 15 feet away. So it worked. It was. We ended up watching on the big screen, which was great, but Todd, it was freezing, which sucked because I would have stayed out there. You know me.
I know you would have. You know, that same evening, the executive producer and I took in the game with our beautiful wives on the back deck, socially distanced, with my new outdoor television. Well, not outdoor television,
beautiful
television that's now outside.
Right
outside. And
you had the fire pit going?
And we had the, we had to do what we have to do for this fall and winter because for obvious reasons, you know. So we had the heat lamp between the two chairs on one side, which Mr. and Mrs. Jeremy were on, and then we were on the other side on the couch, which had the fire table in front of it, so everyone was getting some heat. It was classic executive producer wore long underwear because he was afraid he was going to be too cold. But, yeah.
Oh no, we had bundled up too because we figured we'd be outside the whole time, but it was just too cold. And then they did hook us up, like I said. Well, the funniest part was the night you're out with people, and these are friends of ours that we haven't actually been out with before, but we've known. And
that's tough when you don't know that.
But they know me.
3 hours. That's potential 3 hours with people.
It was 3 hours. Now, but the other couple that we were with, Dan and his wife Jenna. Dan, I work with every day, so I know them. But they know, like, and basically, where you're right, you're having conversation. You know me. I'm trying to keep one eye on the screen for every pitch, and then also, do the conversation thing. Well, it got down to the end of the game, and we were ready to go. I mean, everybody had eaten, everybody had their, cocktails, whatever, coffee, whatever. So we get to the end of the game, and it's 1-0, of course. Lo and behold, we could have been up 7-0, and we could have just left. No. So now, Brad Hand gives up the triple to Cameron, and Lauren's a big Tigers fan. They are. Her and Jeff, when they lived downtown, they went to a ton of games. So they're now getting into it. They're like, oh, we're going to tie this thing. We could even win with a home run. And I'm like, if Hand blows this, and I'm there, and then there's this, like I said, there's this other couple in the room having dinner in another table. Well, when Hand strikes out Goodrum, it was like a check swing. We're inside at a restaurant. I'm like, ring his ass up, ring him up. Okay, so right, and everybody's just like, oh my god, and the other people in the room, I was like, sorry. I mean, I had to. I hate I hate the unnamed team, and he definitely went around. And remember the batter before Bonifacio, they rung up on the same pitch, so it was kind of funny. So it's not a great story. It's about a 5 out of 10, but hey, we got the win. I was down there. I was yards away, so it was as close as I could get, but it was freezing.
Well, I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad they won. I'm glad you got to see it. So that's good stuff.
It's so weird looking inside a stadium where there's nobody in there. Like, all you could see were some of the TV broadcasters, obviously, and then a few of the writers in the press box that were definitely distanced. But gosh, it's so strange. It's strange to go downtown to a ballpark. You'd be right around the ballpark, and it's dead. It's dead.
Yeah. I mean, I saw yesterday and watched the NFL. Most of the teams don't have fans in the stands, and when it's on television and they're pumping in the crowd noise. Like last night, Seattle did a really good job, I thought, of pumping in the crowd noise. So because you're not seeing, unless you're looking at low angle shots, you're not seeing fans in the stands anyway. So it felt like a normal game. But then there was other ones, like when I was watching on Red Zone, like the Green Bay Lions game yesterday, and there's no fans in there, and it was very quiet, and it's just very eerie to watch these games with no fans. I mean, I'll take it. Don't get me wrong. I'd much rather be able to watch sports and have no fans than, that's obviously better than watching no sports, but it's just so bizarre. You're right.
It is crazy. But look, at least we have them. I mean, last night, the end of that Nuggets-Lakers game, not sure what Plumlee and Jeremy Grant are doing, but that was exciting to see,
you know what's funny, by the way? I literally turned the game on last night. It was like a commercial at whatever. We had the Emmys and the football game on, and then one of them went to commercial, and I flipped to see what the score was. And I put it on, and there was literally like the timeout.
2 seconds left.
Seconds.
Yeah.
No, 20. I saw the last 20 seconds. But I rewatched that play again, and that was bizarre because Plumlee ran into the screen on purpose, it looked like. Like, clearly there was something wrong.
It was, and Jeremy Grant told him to come help double LeBron, so that's what he did. Except you're guarding Anthony Davis, dipshit. Like, what are you doing? That was crazy.
Listen, Jeremy Grant learned from the finest defensive mind in all of college basketball.
That's correct.
Mr. Zone himself, James Arthur Van.
Jeremy Grant might be the best pro from Syracuse, other than Carmelo Anthony, in the league right now. Anyway, that's another story. So, hey, by the way, breakingt.com/dairy. If you go to the website to get your T-shirts and you love the cool sports stuff that they got when it comes to T-shirts, they got the new Tristan McKenzie shirt, which, by the way, is being shipped en route to my house.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Got the new Sticks T-shirt, the Karen Check shirt. If you're a big Tribe fan and you love cool shirts, the Jose Ramirez home run pitch shirt, go to breakingt.com/dairy, DERY now, and order it. And use TribeCast10 at checkout to get 10% off. If you are a Browns fan, or as Todd called them earlier, the Clowns. Big win Thursday night. Oh, yeah, the Browns are back. Whatever. They got the win over the Bengals.
They need to make a Chunt T-shirt, by the way. Do you know about this?
Oh, yeah, Chubb and Hunt. Yes.
And Ken and Anthony on 92.3. They could chant, Chunt, Chunt, Chunt.
Ay.
We need a Chunt T-shirt.
There is a new Brown shirt. It says Cleveland Orange Pants Party. It's a brown shirt. It's cool looking. Orange Pants Party shirt, because they wore the orange pants the other night and they won. The uniforms did look good. So if you want that shirt, go to breakingt.com/dairy right now and get it. Maybe you're an Oakland A's fan. They got a new Can't Touch This A's shirt. Whatever. There's so many cool shirts from so many teams. Obviously the Cleveland teams with the Cavs, the Indians, and the Browns. So breakingt.com/dairy, DERY. Put that in and order away. Use 10%, get 10% off. Use the promo code TRIBECAST10 from our friends at Breaking Tea. All right, so this week, Todd, what do you think? So Tribe and White Sox for 4, and then the 3 against the Pirates. Certainly the hope is that the Indians clinch a playoff spot with 7 games to go here before Sunday, so that Shane Bieber would not have to pitch. And then you line it up for next week in this best of 3, and you go at it with either the Rays or the White Sox.
It's actually perfect that it could work out this way, that it would come back around to how you want it. I do worry about how these White Sox games are going to go, because there's but basically right now the three top teams in the AL, which are Tampa, Chicago, and Oakland, are all separated essentially by, a game, a game or two. So they could be any of these three teams could be the 2 seed. So we don't know how it's going to play. I also don't know how I feel about facing the White Sox, because while we're very familiar with them, that might be a good thing, but it also might be a bad thing. Tampa and Oakland have owned the Indians for years. The last 3 years in particular, we never play well against Tampa, especially in that shit dome. So that's a team that I do not want to play. And as we discussed in the last pod, if it is the Oakland A's, we'll all be staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning 3 nights in a row. We'll all be at 10:35.
They all do have their pluses and negatives. You're right. I mean, Shane Bieber, the Rays haven't seen him. The A's haven't seen him. Now, not since last season, but it's not like they've.
The White Sox have several times this year.
You look at the Tampa Bay lineup, and you couldn't name it. You don't know who these people are. Like, literally, I looked at it yesterday and went, who are these people? Like, I know Brandon Lau, and Willie Adames.
I Brandon Lau's real good, but nobody knows him.
And Kiermaier and guys like that, but they've got some newbies out there that you have no idea who they are, but they haven't seen Bieber. But again, with the White Sox, we've seen Giolito. We wouldn't see Tyler Glasnow. We wouldn't see Fires or Manaea. Is Manaea hurt again in Oakland? I don't remember. But
I think he's pitching.
Like Fires kills us. So you just never know. But, you line it up this week and you go, all right, 4 with the White Sox. Again, we're going to get in unless we just choke. And obviously we've seen that before, like shades of...
Yeah, but you got the Buccos for the last 3, so
right.
Even if they lose 4 in a row to the White Sox, that the worst team in baseball is coming over the weekend.
Right, well, they're at home. So Savali and Dane Dunning tonight, the rookie who's pretty decent, right-hander. Tomorrow, Bieber will hopefully make his last regular season start against Reynaldo Lopez. Wednesday, Plesac against Giolito. And then Thursday, Tristan McKenzie against Dallas Keuchel. These are all 6-10 starts. The Indians haven't seen Keuchel this year.
No, we skipped him both times.
So that'll be interesting. And then Friday, Carrasco against Mitch Keller for the Pirates, 7-10. Saturday night, 7-10, Joe Musgrove and his 6 ERA against Aaron Savali. And then Sunday, what the hope is that you skip Bieber and you keep him for the...
Pletko could start Sunday.
Right, you have Pletko or whoever against Brubaker, and you call it a day. Now, again, for seeding purposes, I don't think it really matters. The Indians aren't going to catch the Twins for that central second seed and be a 4, 5, or 6 unless Minnesota really implodes. So you'd be the 7 or the 8, and then you could at least line it up, and I would assume that they would line it up to Bieber, Plesac, Carrasco. Wouldn't you think that would be the order? For the first series?
I can't imagine it being the only other way it would be potentially would be if they just decided to go Carrasco in game 2. But those 3 starters will undoubtedly be the 3 guys who get the call. And just looking ahead for the Twins, for example, if there was any way to catch them, they only have 5 games left. 2 with the unnamed team, 3 with the Reds, who are going to be playing hard to get into that last playoff spot. So there's that. And then the team that's trailing the Indians right now by 2 in the loss column, Toronto, they have the Yankees and Baltimore remaining on their schedule. So I don't know what any of this really means anymore. But
it's so weird.
The Yankees are playing out of their minds right now, and that's a team nobody wants to face now that they're healthy, except for the fact that they're. You get me in a 7-game series against the Yankees with that pitching staff, and no days off. No days off. That's another huge thing, and I don't know if we touched on this last week or not.
No, we didn't.
But I read this. I had this thought before, and then I read it again in Buster Olney's column over the weekend, which was, in classic Rob Manfred, the classic Rob Manfred way, he just decided, okay, after the trade deadline, we're going to run the ALCS and ALDS in all these days in a row. So unlike every other year always, where there's usually 2 days on, 1 day off, we're going to go straight through 7 games, 7 days in a row, which means a team like the Yankees, who didn't trade for a starting pitcher. I mean, I'm not crying for the Yankees in any
right, but I see your point. I see your yeah.
But they would have 100% pursued starting pitching, which they wouldn't have, which they didn't, because they figured they wouldn't have to use 5 stars. The Indians, if you get past the first round, you're going to have to use Tristan McKenzie and Aaron Savali. It has to happen in a 5-game series unless you get swept. So that's why you look back now and say to yourself, if the Indians had known what they know now, would they have traded Mike Clevenger? Or would they have held him for the playoffs?
It's an advantage for the Indians based on their pitching depth. You're right about that. But changing the rules midstream and adding these different things, and then now the bubble is a thing. So if the Indians made it to the ALDS, they'd be playing in San Diego, or I don't even know.
You don't know. It depends on what seed they are, but it's
a mess. It's
Los Angeles and San Diego for the ALDS, and then the ALCS, I think, is it San Diego or Los Angeles? I think it's San Diego for ALCS.
Correct, and then the World Series is in Texas.
Yeah, at that new monstrosity in Arlington,
Globe Life Park, or whatever. But nobody. That's the problem with baseball. They can't get out of their own way. They make so many PR mistakes. They should be hyping this up. They should be, promoting this in a way that gets people excited, and they're not. I mean, to be quite honest, we're into the Indians.
Cares anymore.
We're into the Indians, right? We are into the Indians, and we're doing our thing, and we're talking about them. But you're so right. I mean, is there pennant chase talk? They're talking about, well, maybe we'll do this again next year, and we'll have 8 teams in the playoffs. Nobody in Detroit or Toronto, or maybe not Toronto. They love baseball up there, but these teams are on the fringe right now as 9 seeds, and some of the teams in like you said, in Cincinnati, they're talking about Joe Burrow. They're not talking about the Reds sneaking in as a below 500 team into the playoffs. No one cares. Stop. Go back to the old way next year. Quite honestly, the way the Indians have been playing lately, they don't deserve to make the playoffs. Quite honestly.
16 of 30 teams are going to make it into the
joke. What is this, hockey?
Well, not only that, you want to talk about devaluing your regular season. The beauty of baseball to me has always been the pennant chase, and winning the division actually means something. If you go into next season with this similar playoff format, it is what incentive do you really have to win your division?
It makes a mockery of the regular season.
Who cares?
It does.
And I know if there's fans in the stands, you'll have 3 games at home in the first. Who cares? Do you know how many home teams won all 7 games of last year's World Series? 0.
Correct.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. So they just. Rob Manfred is the absolute worst, and he throws shit out there, trial balloons, to see if they'll stick. It just, who runs a business like this besides the orange idiots? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. All right, well, next week's show will be exciting. On Monday, we'll have the playoff matchup. We'll know where the Indians are going, who's going to be pitching. Yeah. I would assume the Indians. Because that starts on Tuesday, right? The 29th?
Well, I was going to ask you, do we have definitive MLB playoff dates that you know of for sure? I'm going to Google it while you talk.
What about contagion rates?
Contagion rates?
I thought it was Tuesday, but again, you're right. I mean, that's something that needs to be promoted this week. If you're Major League Baseball, you're buying time on every local channel. If the Indians are playing the White Sox and STO, and you're saying, don't forget on Fox, like FS1 next Tuesday's the AL wild card, whatever it is. I mean,
well, God forbid they promote their sport properly, because So here's what it says: Tuesday, September 29th is the 4 AL wild card game ones. So you got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are basically AL. The AL is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. NL is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Got it. Okay.
And then the division series start Monday, October 5th for the American League, and Tuesday, October 6th for the National League.
All right, let's get it, man. We'll talk again next week. Great show. Thanks to our friends at the Center for Advanced Dentistry, Breaking Tea as well. Matt and Todd with you. It's been another installment of the Dairy Brothers Tribecast. Go Tribe. Let's get this thing done, and we'll talk to you next week.